Thank you for joining the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for today's Missouri River update. Due to basin conditions, this is an ad hoc call to provide an update of current conditions and support provided to local communities by the Kansas City and Omaha districts. This call is provided as a courtesy to congressional representatives, tribal, state, and local government officials, levee sponsors, emergency managers, and the media. I'm Eileen Williamson, and I'll be your moderator. The call is recorded and placed on the Defense Video and Imagery Distribution Service for media reuse at www.dvidshub.net/unit/USACE-NWD. Your participation acknowledges your consent to be recorded. All lines should be on mute. If the force mute function does not work on your phone, please use your phone's own mute function and do not place the call on hold. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the call. As stated Wednesday and Thursday, we've altered the agenda as the River Crest has exited or is exiting the Omaha District area of responsibility and entering the Kansas City District. The opening comments will come from Lieutenant Colonel Doug Brownhill, Deputy Commander of the Kansas City District. We'll have a forecast update from the National Weather Service Missouri Basin River Forecast Center, Kevin Lau. Mike Doolin with the Kansas City District will provide an update on the flooding response. Chris Perzer from the Kansas City District will provide an update on operations at tributary projects and on the Missouri River downstream of Rouleau, Nebraska. Spencer Giles in the Omaha District Emergency Management Office will provide an update on the flood response and recovery process, as well as current system releases from Gavins Point Dam. We'll also open the lines to receive updates from state emergency managers or departments of transportation with updates on closures or impacts. With that, I'm going to turn the call over to Lieutenant Colonel Brownhill.
Good morning, team. Lieutenant Colonel Brownhill for the Kansas City District. Thank you for joining us today. As the crest continues to move south and we continue to monitor the freeboard along the federal and non-federal levees, we're continuing to work with our partners on anything as needed. Our technical advisors are out today. They're also on standby in case there's anywhere that needs some help along the river. We continue to stand ready to provide support however needed and greatly appreciate the communications we've had so far. If at any time anyone feels they need some assistance, please do not hesitate to reach out to our EOC. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Eileen. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And just for everyone on the call, we will hold the call tomorrow as part of our commitment to collaboration and transparent communication. So I'm going to hand the call now to Kevin Lau in the Missouri Basin River Forecast Center. Kevin.
All righty. Thank you, Eileen, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'll go over the crest information as we have it right now, and then I'll go over the expected rainfall over the next 5 days. So beginning with Sioux City, it's around 14 foot right now. It's well below the flood stage, and we expect it to continue to fall. Omaha, it's 23 feet today, and again, well below flood stage of 27, and we expect it to continue to fall. Nebraska City crested last Sunday, had a second smaller crest on Wednesday. It's roughly at 19.9 feet right now, still about 2 foot above flood stage. We expect the river at Nebraska City to fall below flood stage tomorrow, Saturday. At Brownville, it's 39 feet right now, about 5 foot above flood stage. We expect it to fall below flood stage around midnight Saturday going into Sunday. Rouleau, the first crest at Rouleau was last Tuesday. We had a similar second crest yesterday. Right now it's about 23.5 foot, about 6 foot above the flood stage. Flood stage there is 17. We expect Rouleau to fall below flood stage Sunday. At St. Joseph, it probably crested yesterday afternoon, but it's still kind of bobbling around 23 feet, which is about 6 feet above the flood stage of 17. We expect the river at St. Joseph to fall below flood stage Sunday. Moving to the next slide, Kansas City is well below flood stage and will continue to be below flood stage. And I think, yeah, it crested yesterday afternoon. Late yesterday afternoon, the river crested at Kansas City. Waverly is at 28.1 foot right now. It's about 8 foot above flood stage. And we expect Waverly to fall below flood stage by midweek. Glasgow is 29.7 right now, about 5 foot above flood stage. We expect it to crest at 30.1 tonight. Boonville, it's around 27 foot right now. That's 6 foot above flood stage. We expect it to crest 27.6 feet tomorrow midday. Jefferson City crested overnight. It's currently around 26.5 foot, which is about 3 foot above flood stage. And we expect Jeff City to fall below flood stage on Monday. And finally, Herman, it crested overnight. It's about 28 foot right now, which is 7 foot above flood stage. And we expect it to fall below flood stage around Tuesday. Looking ahead, day one, as far as the expected rainfall, day one, which is today, we've got very light precipitation over the Dakotas. Day two, which is tomorrow into early Sunday, we expect 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch over eastern Nebraska and southwestern Iowa. Not too concerned about that. Day three, expected rainfall, which is Sunday into early Monday. There's a fairly significant rainfall event. Right now, it is centered just south of the Missouri Basin in southeastern Kansas. For our area, for the Missouri Basin, this event may provide 1 inch widespread over eastern Kansas, 3/4 inch over western Missouri. Day 4 and day 5, which is Monday and Tuesday, appears to be quiet. I do have concerns over the day 3 QPF, the day 3 expected rain. The focus is just south of our basin, but it's like 2 to 3 inches. So we need to stay vigilant and keep an eye on that rain event. Again, that would be Sunday into Monday. Should it move north, it should fall on the backside of the crest as the crest moves through Waverly and Boonville and so forth. So I don't expect it to add to the crest on the main stem. But again, if that bullseye was to move north, it would provide for some tributary flooding. So again, that's Sunday into Monday. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Eileen.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll move now to the Emergency Operations Center in Kansas City with Mike Doolin.
Hi, thanks, Eileen. Mike Doolin here, Emergency Management Specialist with the Kansas City District Corps of Engineers. There's been no change in our EOC status. Actual river stages are not making yesterday's forecast at most locations downstream of Kansas City. So we will remain at a level 3 emergency watch with operating hours from 0700 to 1700 daily. Yesterday afternoon, due to dangerous river conditions and extensive loading on levee systems, the Kansas City District recommended to the U.S. Coast Guard that vessel restrictions be placed on the Missouri River from mile marker 366 to 29, which is Kansas City to St. Charles. The U.S. Coast Guard plans to keep restrictions in place until Sunday, July 7th. If conditions improve prior to the 7th, those restrictions could be lifted sooner. Primary impacts will be mostly to recreational vessels. The navigation industry leaders that the Coast Guard spoke with currently were not moving freight. Our flood fight team is communicating with levee districts from Waverly through Jeff City and on down to Washington, Missouri to determine flood fight needs and address any concerns they may have. No major performance issues are currently being reported downstream of Kansas City. We do still have some seepage issues going on. We're seeing on some private levee systems up in Holt County, which are causing that road closure on 111 that MoDOT's mentioned a couple times. Current river observations show that Rulo, Nebraska is slowly trending down at 23.5 feet, but still in moderate flood stage. And then looking east to Kansas City, river observations are coming in lower than yesterday's forecast stages. However, minor and moderate flooding is ongoing, and it's causing significant loading on levee systems downstream that participate in our PLA 499 program. Based on the latest data from the Missouri Basin River Forecast Center, no levees are forecast to overtop in the next 72 hours. Yesterday, we had 6 of them pop up that had the potential to overtop. Now it's looking like none have the potential to overtop for now. 19 non-federal levee systems are expected to have 2 foot or less freeboard, and 39 non-federal levee systems are expected to have between 2 and 5 foot of freeboard. As mentioned on previous calls, nearly all federal levee systems along the Missouri River are going to experience some loading as floodwaters move downstream. Federal levee systems in our district are experiencing loading primarily north of Kansas City. However, all are still forecast to have greater than 5 foot of freeboard. And that goes for the 3 non-federal systems east of Kansas City, 2 around Brunswick and 1 at New Haven. All of those are expected to have 5 foot or greater of freeboard. No change in requests for direct assistance. We have issued a total of 11,000 sandbags for this flood event. Our EOC is going to remain activated and ready to provide technical and direct assistance until floodwaters have receded. Our 24-hour emergency line mailbox was locked yesterday, but IT services have resolved the issue, so you can still reach us at 816-426-6320. 816-426-6320. If you call after hours, just leave your name and a callback number, and we'll get back to you quickly. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And over to Chris Perzer in Kansas City District Water Management.
Hello, Eileen. Good afternoon, everybody. So the Kansas City District's Lake Project's water management update for today is as follows. With this, the first slide, no significant actions to report for the past 24 hours ending July 4th. Similarly, there are no significant actions that we anticipate to report for the 48-hour period of today, July 5 through tomorrow, July 6th. And if we can go to my second slide. Thank you, Eileen. I'd just like to highlight that that this slide provides reference information regarding the Kansas City District lakes that might be of interest. Furthermore, the NWK Daily Reservoir Report for today documents that water is accumulating in a routine manner into flood control storage within select reservoirs in our Kansas and Osage River basins. Release of these waters from storage may begin on or about Monday, July 8th, scheduled to coincide with improving conditions on the Missouri River at Waverly and at Herman. So this concludes my report for today, Friday, July 5th. Thank you, Eileen.
Thanks, Chris. And over to the Omaha District Emergency Management Office.
Good afternoon. I'm Oliver Berglund, Emergency Management Specialist for the Army Corps of Engineers Omaha District. We continue to maintain our activation status at level 2, partial activation. Our updated hours of operations are 7:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon daily, and we remain available 24 hours a day. In the last 24 hours, our levee surveillance teams worked with our sponsors, and we continue to survey the situation and are prepared to take additional actions if requested. A more in-depth analysis of the levee structures will occur during the recovery phase. We will send a notice describing the process and the timeline for the levee repair claims due to the flood damage. Releases at Gavins Point remain at 13,000 CFS, and helicopter surveillance, which has been invaluable, identifying and troubleshooting hotspots such as L575, will not occur again until Monday, July 8th. As floodwaters recede, we are reducing the number of levee surveillance teams in the field. Today will be the last day for our survey teams, and we have 3 teams out with 1 team on call for rapid response. Over the weekend, we will be switching to an on-call only as the threat continues to lower. This morning, we provided sandbags to Howard County Emergency Management. If you have any questions for us, please call 402-995-2448 and leave a message. Our staff will return the call as quickly as possible. In summary, we continue working closely with our levee sponsors as we switch into the recovery phase of this incident. That concludes my remarks.
Thanks, Oliver. Real quick, Howard County, Nebraska, Iowa, where?
Howard County, Nebraska.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to be clear. All right, so now we will receive updates from any state emergency managers that may be on the line. We'll start with the state of Iowa. That can also be DOTs. *6 to unmute. If we have any updates. Hey, Kansas. Missouri.
Good afternoon, Eileen. From SEMA, this is Jim Remillard. We have no report. I think MoDOT's on though.
All right, thank you. Missouri Department of Transportation.
Good afternoon. This is Joe with MoDOT. We currently have 33 road closures due to flooding, 3 that are impacted from the Missouri River. That is the Atchison 111 that was already mentioned, Cole 179 just north of Jefferson City, and then Osage 111 between Chamois and Herman.
Great, thank you. State of Nebraska.
Sean Runge from Nebraska Emergency Management. Just want to thank Oliver and his team up in Omaha for issuing out the sandbags this morning. We will stay in a virtual activation until the flood warnings have completely moved out of Nebraska. But other than that, we stand by to assist as needed here in Nebraska. And if Missouri needs any assistance from us, we'll help them out as well. That is all.
Thanks so much, Sean. Any other state of Nebraska? Okay. I'm going to look at the chat, and then anybody with questions, put your hand up. And then after that, we'll move to alphabetical order by state. I did have a note here from Travis Black that Riverfest in St. Charles, Missouri was canceled for today due to flooding at the Riverfront Park. And then Frank Huseman asked for a clarification on navigation restrictions. Is it no tow operations through July 7th, or what is the clarification? And I'll hand that to Mike Doolin.
Yeah, that's correct. No till operations until July 7th, unless otherwise notified.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Thank you, Rick, for pasting the crest information into the chat. If anyone's looking for that, it'll be there. See if there's any hands up. There are none. All right, so otherwise, question and answer, *6 to come off mute, state your name and the organization you represent. Your participation acknowledges your consent to be recorded. I have 35 callers on the line. We'll start with the state of Iowa. Kansas. Missouri. Montana. Nebraska. North Dakota. South Dakota. And Wyoming. Okay, no questions heard. Any others that may have not been able to get off mute fast enough?
Hey, Eileen, this is Mike Doolin again. Hey,
Yep,
I
go
wanted to
ahead.
I wanted to clarify one thing on the question about navigation. So the Coast Guard was going to make a special exception for fleeting vessels within 100 yards of port.
And I assume they know what that means when they hear it.
Well, I'm not a navigation expert, so I hope so. It means they could use. It
Same
means they
here.
could use. It means they can use their tugs within 100 yards of port.
Okay. Hopefully that helps with the question that that we had from Frank. All right, thanks, Mike. As a reminder, we will hold the call tomorrow. It will be at 1 o'clock. It will be the same link. I will send a reminder out when I send the recording of this call. I do really appreciate the participation and updates. Even if we don't have a lot of questions on the call, we do have a lot of people who are listening to the recordings. Real quick question again for Mike. Tow operation restriction was on which stretch?
So the navigation restrictions span from mile marker 366 to 29, which is Kansas City, and then the Coast Guard was going to make a special exception for fleeting vessels within 100 yards of port. So depending on what port you're at, you can use your tugs within 100 yards of the port if it's in between mile markers 366 to 29.
Thanks, Mike. So we just had someone join us late, has a question regarding updates on the Kansas City and St. Joseph area. I'm going to first let Kevin provide an update on River Crest, River Stage, weather forecast, and then I'll let Mike follow him with any updates. Just repeat what you had. Kevin?
Okay, hi, this is Kevin Lau with the National Weather Service. That was for the Kansas City to Waverly Reach, is that right?
Kansas City, St. Joe area, which of course
Okay.
spreads across the two slides.
Okay, very good. Yeah, no problem. So St. Joe, the Missouri River at St. Joseph crested yesterday afternoon. However, it's still sort of bobbling around 23 feet. And 23 feet is about 6 foot above flood stage. We do believe that the Missouri River at St. Joseph will fall below flood stage on Sunday. And then Kansas City is well below flood stage. It is past crest and will continue to remain below flood stage. Weather-wise, next 24 hours, not a whole lot going on. Day 2, which is Saturday into early Sunday morning, we expect somewhere between 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch over eastern Nebraska and southwestern Iowa. I do not see that as a problem. Day 3, which would be Sunday into early Monday, there is a significant rain event right now. It is focused. The bullseye is just south of the Missouri Basin in southeast Kansas. Within our basin, it would be about 1 inch over eastern Kansas and 3/4 of an inch over western Missouri. However, and the runoff from that should come in on the back end of the crest as the crest moves downstream of Kansas City. So it should not add to the crest. However, should that bullseye move north or east, then that becomes a concern for the Missouri Basin. Maybe not so much for the main stem itself, but for the tributaries in the state of Missouri. So it bears watching. The bottom line is just keep an eye on the weather and river forecast come Sunday into Monday. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And Mike Doolin, can you provide any levee update for Kansas City and St. Joe area?
Yeah, so from we'll just go from Rulo down to Kansas City. So levees that participate in our program are still experiencing loading up there. So they've got water on them now. All the federal levees between St. Joe and KC, they all have adequate freeboard 5 foot or greater, reporting no major issues. And then as the water starts to decline upstream, Rulo's probably going to have to hit about 17 feet before it takes water completely off those non-federal levees up in Holt County.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Nicole, does that cover the information that you needed? Not seeing anything. Okay. All right. Any last questions again? All right, Colonel Brownhill, it's over to you to close the call. Colonel Brownhill? He may have been called away. So as I've mentioned before, we will hold a call tomorrow. I really want to appreciate everyone's collaboration. You know, transparent communication is key to keeping the community informed, not just on our response, but on the conditions in the basin and maintaining vigilance with respect to the flooding. Glad everyone is here. That means you had a safe 4th of July. Moving into the weekend, I ask you to do the same. And that means wearing life jackets when you're out on open water and being safe around the levees that have taken on water. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Thank you. And that concludes today's call.